Hey y'all, it's Frank Latte here. I want you all to check out the video from yesterday. It was the last couple session of the summer. Maybe we'll do one more. But have you ever wondered if your partner asks you to tell you the truth, but you know the truth is going to hurt them, and they kind of have they've shown the tendency to punish you for telling the truth, even though they want you to tell the truth. Have you ever been in that situation, either guy or girl? What do you do? Do you lie? Do you tell the truth and say, okay, hey, deal with it? Well, we talked about that. We talked about how to be less defensive when you're being attacked. We also talked about ways that you can stop running from stop running from your issues and stop running from your problems, and also dealing with difficult, really, really difficult things in a relationship. Check it out. Remember to, smash that subscribe button. Check it out. Again, we're the Latte Wellness Group. We provide mental health services to the world. Thanks. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Lattes Wellness Group. This is our last couples counseling session for the summer. And today we're going to be talking about the last two horsemen in the Four Horsemen. Last week we talked about criticism and complaints. And does anybody know the difference between a criticism and a complaint?
Criticism is pretty much well, a complaint, yeah, condescending
towards their actions, and then complaints are you verbalizing your disdain for what they did. Or what
Yeah. So a complaint has three parts. It's very specific action or behavior. You're saying this is how that action or behavior made me feel, and this is what I like you to do in the future. A complaint, hey Drew, is more global, right? You're talking about just general thing like you're never on time, you're not smart, you're dumb. It's very, 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 very global, right? Contentment, when we show contempt, that's when we have a harsh negativity, harsh resentment for that person, where it's like we're criticizing them to the core, like, that's why you don't really have any manners. No one raised you correctly. You're just dumb, stupid. Like, it goes way beyond the criticism. Right? So this week, what we'll do is we'll start off with highs and lows as we normally do, and we'll have and then we'll go into defensiveness and contentment. Defensiveness and stonewalling. Yeah. All right, so DeAndre and Shannon, do you guys want to let us know how your week went?
Had a good week, man. All in all.
We went out to dinner yesterday for a family celebration. That was cool. So that was a high. I guess the only low, it's not really a low. I don't know, just like some type of understanding. I don't know. I kept asking him if he was okay today and yesterday, and he said he's okay, and I guess I'm getting on his nerves. I keep asking him if he's okay. But it doesn't feel like he's okay.
And I don't know what that means.
It just feels like, I don't know. But even if he wasn't, he's not going to tell me. He's just going to say I'm okay.
It's not true.
Well, Could you pinpoint what exactly didn't feel right? Yeah.
It just, I don't know. It was just like his whole vibe was just different. He like, we would be kiki laughing and having fun, and then it's just like one word answers to questions and stuff like that. Or he said he had some stuff to do today, and I just like, what do you have to do? Like, I don't know if that's being controlling. I just want to know. I'd like to be a part. Like, why don't you want to share what you have to do? But that's not really a low. I guess that's just a preference. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, what I just said.
DeAndre, anything?
I don't even know what conversation I just remember, like, she kept, like, we came home last night. She just kept saying, "Are you okay? You all right?" And it was like, I don't know, like 11 o'clock or something. I was just getting ready trying to get ready to go to sleep. That's all I remember.
So you sleepy?
Like, yeah. But when you ask me, am I okay? I'm like,
okay, I'm
what
just sleepy.
What am I showing that
that could be
I
it though?
couldn't be? We just had a good time and everything, and then I was wondering, like, what changed as far as me. I know I ain't feel like she changed. So I get out the car. I remember I got out of the car, I took the trash out, I turned around, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then got in the house, I was getting ready for, setting up everything for work, and I'm about to get in the bed. "You okay?" I'm like, I just said that. And then I'm like, I get in the house today, and then I say, "What's up?" I talk to my son, and then turn around, and she's like, "That's all you got for me? Are you okay?" I'm like, that's when I reverted back. I was like, "Are you okay?" Because keep saying "you're okay." This usually doesn't go on unless, I don't know, something on your mind or something like that. I just didn't understand. We just came from having a good time. We didn't get no arguments and whatnot. Everything was cool.
You could have been just tired, and he said, and I just didn't know. I couldn't tell you.
Like, seriously. But I don't. Then it made me start thinking about me. I'm like, yo, everything is good today. I don't know. Everything cool. You know what I'm saying? So I understand. But I don't know. Then I start thinking maybe she's going through something right now and she don't really want to talk about it. But at the same time, I'm like, she seemed like she okay. So, I don't know. I don't know. But she right. Sometimes, a lot of times, I don't say what's wrong. If something is wrong, I feel like I can handle it or whatever it may be, unless it's too deep, I guess. Then I'll talk about it if it's something deep. But yeah, I didn't feel nothing wrong. We had a good night and everything. So I don't know. I don't know where the question's coming from. But it was, all in all, we had a great week. So. No lows for me. I don't know.
Okay, good. Sorry, we got a late comer coming in. Let me let him in here. All right, I gotta constantly look at my thing because we have to manually approve it. So, all right, Drew, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Drew. I'm a grad student, and I'm married, and my wife's name is Deanna. She's about to join the call in a moment. Should I do a recap of my week?
Sure, absolutely. I'm trying to let somebody else in, so that'll be good.
Well, so she'll be here in a second, but I'll share my highs and lows. I think a high for me was yesterday. We were celebrating that Deanna, she just finished an internship. So she did a presentation yesterday on it, and our whole family came and stuff. So I invited her mother and her sister to come out so we could go do happy hour afterwards.
Mhm.
So that was fun. We had a lot of fun. But low sort of just came up actually recently when we were in church on Tuesday night. There was a question asked, and they're like, yeah, ask someone next to you, do they punish you when you disagree with them? And she decided to ask me that question. And I was like, do you want my honest answer? And she was like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I told her, and yeah, it didn't really go well. So
I did laugh, not laugh.
so yeah, I was trying to like say it as nice as possible, but she took it all as an attack.
Mhm.
And I sort of like told her at the end, like, I mean, you asked. And so she was real mad. She's been mad about that same situation for the past 2 days. And then just now we had a conversation about it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, you asked for the truth, but I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. So that's my recap.
I like your honesty. I definitely like your honesty. Thank you for being so honest here. Let's see here. Is that who's okay? Someone's joining. As again, sorry if I'm multitasking. People are joining in, and you know how it is. You gotta fill in the waiver, and once you fill in the waiver, I gotta click approve, and this thing's a mess. So, we're definitely gonna try to streamline it in the future. Any comments, Jen or Sia, that you have for Drew in regards to what Drew said? Wait, are you on mute? Jen, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I didn't understand. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah. Any thoughts that you had?
No, no. Sorry. I'm sorry. No.
Okay. How about you, Sia? Any thoughts for I'm letting somebody else in here. Any thoughts for Drew?
Yeah, like actually I also really appreciate your honesty, like actually share, like being open, like in the group, and this is actually what we want and how we are actually making like improvement. And actually I can see that like you're trying your best to be like direct, being open and share your real feelings, but it seems like it's not enough, like completely address like all the facts or all the things. Like, well, maybe we can use a different way to actually address it in a more gentle, but like the same kind of effects, right? And really welcome, like Deanna. Am I correct? Am I correct? Yeah, welcome to the session.
All right. So to recap. So by the way, Drew and Deanna. Hey, Deanna. Sia and Jen, they're part of my team. They help me. Pauline here, she's part of the Latte Wellness group as well. So you all got a panel of experts here. Drew, we asked highs and lows. Did you hear Drew's high and low?
He just caught me up as I came in the room.
Okay. How about you? Any highs and lows from you?
Gosh, there were actually a lot of highs this week. I think the biggest high for me has been like overall continuing to find the confidence and courage to say what I have to say in a number of relationships. And the same low as this guy, our conflict with me sharing. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, for those that didn't join kind of late here, Drew shared their low. Basically, their low was they were at a church event or they were at an event, and someone asked your partner, do you get upset with me, or I'm gonna butcher this thing. Do you feel that I punish you when I disagree, when you disagree with me, right? And Deanna asked Drew that question, and Drew, being the loving and caring husband that he is, asked her, do you really want to know? And he told her, I guess he said, yes, I feel that you do punish me. And I don't think that's really the response, or that kind of threw her off guard. And I think that kind of set off something. Let me ask our other couple, DeAndre and Shannon, any thoughts on this situation?
I was just asking him the same question. Like, do we do that?
Do you punish me
if we don't agree with something?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I think we pretty much
We agree on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I think after I break down whatever it is that I have to
Understanding of why we disagree, then it's easier.
Yeah.
But I don't think I punish you.
Nah.
I might side eye you, and then I'll get over it.
Yeah. Or we just agree to disagree. Yeah. There ain't too much of punishing.
But he definitely gonna get a side eye.
Yeah.
Let me hear your point of view, Deanna. Like let me hear what aroused you on Drew's comment.
I guess a couple of things. So when the question was posed, I was like talking aloud to myself. And I was like, no, I definitely did before, but I think I may have said I don't anymore, which is probably a lie because I do sometimes. I can admit that. And then when I asked him, and he straight up said yes. Okay. But then like further in the conversation, what I shared with him earlier is that like, instead of feeling like sharpened or challenged by him, I felt like he was crushing me.
What do you mean by that?
Like, the other thing I said to him is, you were honest with me, but not in a way that was like considerate or caring of my feelings.
How could he have said it in a way that was considerate and caring of your feelings?
I mean, it wasn't the yes part that I thought was inconsiderate. So I'm trying to think of like what in the rest of the conversation could have gone differently. That's a tough question. Can I have a moment to think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you can look at it a couple of ways here, right? This situation. And the reason I'm staying on this situation, because it's going to benefit some people, right? It's definitely going to benefit some people. Essentially, on one end, Drew wanted to express his true feeling. You know, on one end, Drew did want to express his true feelings of the situation, of how he felt, right? This is from my point of view. And on the other hand, I feel that Deanna thought she was making some progress, so it might have, taken some air. It might have taken some air out of the progress or out of the thoughts that she was making. And she kind of maybe wanted it to say in a more nicer, gentle tone. How you doing? Johnson? There's a lot of background noise. I was going to mute you all for 1 second while I explain this point, and then we can unmute you all. And so you can look at it a couple of ways, right? Is there a nicer way that Drew could have said, well, you know what, this is how I really feel, right? Or you can look at it from Drew's point of view and actually you can say, well, you were kind of proving his point, meaning that either way, there's no right answer, right? Because of the fact that, let's say that he did want to tell you that, oh, you are being hurt, like whenever I don't agree with you, there are some punishment or there are some repercussions. And in this situation, you're disagreeing with him. It's kind of like validating the fact that, yes, there is no way for him to have a disagreement, or maybe it's not the disagreement itself, but there is, I guess, in the bigger picture here is, from what I'm hearing from Drew, is it's hard for me to express myself. It's hard for me to say things that get off my chest, because if I say it, I gotta be very, very careful on how I craft it, or else we're gonna be fighting for a little bit. So now, because I know that we're gonna be doing that, let me do what we call stonewalling. Stonewalling is the fact that when they flood you with negativity, or when you know that there's going to be some uncomfortable things from your partner, or let's say your partner is very, very critical, or there's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of things, and you know that it's going to be coming, you have two responses. You can fight or you can flight, right? The fight is when you become defensive yourself, right? And let's say your partner says, hey, look, you're never on time. What do you mean? I'm always on time. I was on time, this and this and this. And then when you try to defend yourself, that's when we go into what we call, you're playing the innocent victim. The innocent victim is saying that, hey, look, I'm not really trying to solve what my partner is saying. I'm not really trying to solve it. I'm going to try to defend myself because I'm being attacked. And oh, by the way, there's no satisfying you. You are never pleased. Never, I'm putting never in air quotes because you never supposed to really use never. It's hard to please you. So, so as a way to fend myself from that, I'm going to stonewall, and I'm actually going to avoid those conversations and not get into those conversations because it's not going to end well. All right, I've been talking for a lot. Let me get Mr. Johnson, then I'll go back to Drew, then I'll go to DeAndre. Mr. Johnson, you guys can unmute. I muted you all earlier. I think you all are still muted.
Yeah, let me hold that one. My thing went out.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys are unmuted. Any thoughts that you all wanted to add?
No, not yet. I'm just really interested and surprised a lot of things you're saying, how they are definitely recognizable.
What part of it?
Commonplace. When you said people, I guess, get on the defensive and feel like they're being attacked instead of listening.
Yeah. How about your partner there? Did I miss Jones? I don't know.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Hello.
Hey, hi.
Who's one? What were your thoughts?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
It's not staying in. Hello.
Hi, Miss Johnson. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Finding you.
Yes?
Wait a minute. Say it again. I can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Any thoughts on what I said?
What the part I just heard right now? Because I don't know if he had a chance to say anything. I'm in physical therapy. Unfortunately, I got hurt myself, and it happened all at the same time. I had to get this first initial appointment in. But yes, I definitely what you were saying at the last part of what I just heard, because he was finally able to come over near me. I had been looking up and reading a lot on some things and talking about the stonewalling and things like that. And so I was so excited when I got this email and I saw this because I was coming for counseling individual last year, but before COVID, and to see this pop up in my email, and I was like, wow. And I said, look, this is what we need. We were really trying to find something, and he said this would be great. So I missed some of the beginning of it, but yes, definitely. I was just like sitting here, can't see underneath, smiling at some of the things that you were saying, like, yes, like, wow. And to definitely help us with understanding what's going on and with some of these cues and things like that. I don't want to say subliminal messages, but they're like almost what they are. And like, you're saying this, but really you mean that. So in fact, us not to attack one another, to come to, understanding of what we're feeling individually and to do it collectively.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. Thank you all. Deanna.
From what you were saying, I can see myself like on both sides of both ends. I know that there are times when I can be like the critical or like the always negative person. And then I know that there are times where like when I'm on the receiving end and I can be defensive in response instead of like actually listening.
Drew?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a tough situation. Like, I think some part of this conversation ended up getting on the fact that like when she asked me questions, like I just say whatever you say. And I think a big part of that, and in this whole thing, I've been just trying to say, like, I've been trying to avoid conflict a lot recently because when things are going good, I don't want to ruin that. So I think that's just something that we need to work on, like with our conflicts, that like we move on and get right back to like things being good and stop having long spurts of like conflict.
Okay. All right. Okay. DeAndre, Shannon, any thoughts?
I know, definitely like with the stonewalling, I am the one who gets defensive. So I don't really hear the whole, like if you were to say, oh, you're always late or something, or you always do this, I'm going to give you a reason why I always do this in my defense. But yeah, that's how I stonewall.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, DeAndre, I can't hear you.
Like, and sometimes Shannon can, yeah, like she said, she can get defensive. So it's kind of tough to break that.
Sorry, I think you're going in and out. Sorry, DeAndre.
But all in all, I mean, as far as stonewalling, I, I think like she just said, like I can get frustrated and shut down, yeah, and that ain't no good because it's kind of like what Drew said. Like I just say or whatever. It's pretty much like being fed up with the situation. Just let it, maybe it'll blow over or something like that. So it's like a flight type of thing. I don't want to fight about it. I just want to, maybe it ain't that big or something like that. But all in all, like when we sit down and talk about things, nowadays it's more of a receptive and more of a understanding. So, but it took time for that. Like it wasn't just no overnight thing.
She's having it last week.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. So, let's see here. Hey, Pauline, anything?
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I apologize I was late. I'm kind of just observing how Frank runs this wonderful group, but I'll definitely chime in when I am able to figure out what we're talking about.
All right. So let's go into it. Defensiveness. Let's just bring in my notes here. Give me 1 second here. Highs and lows from the Johnsons. So when we first started off, I asked everyone to give me a high and low from the week. Do you all have any high and lows that you all want to talk about? Any highs and lows from the week that you all wanted to talk about?
I'm sorry, you couldn't hear me.
Can you hear
me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I said, let's start off with the positive. For me, he's listening more to what I need when it comes to getting certain things done. But I guess the lows would be sometimes with other things when I'm saying I actually need certain things done. It's like going over his head and I have to constantly repeat that. So 1 second, you wait to talk to him for a second. My therapist needs me. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
How you feeling?
Okay.
More questions.
And my highs were she's definitely willing to listen when I'm trying to articulate, what's going on with me or what's wrong. She's much more receptive and trying to listen to what I'm saying and not as argumentative as in the past. The lows were in the early part of the week, like last weekend, where that wasn't the case. You know, still bickering and arguing over the slightest thing, and will become a massive war, of words over something, you know, that didn't even matter. The slightest little thing, the change of the temperature on the thermostat. I mean, just things that you wouldn't believe, that instead of just a question or a comment became war. And then they're not talking and they're hanging up the phone or not talking, you know. But that was the lows of the week. The highs were calm, tranquil conversations, and, you know, both listening to each other and trying to hear each other out.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Excellent. For this, obviously, I'll probably go on mute so we don't hear. I'll have you all go on mute so we don't hear the doctor, the confidentiality between her and the doctor.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the defensiveness. Let me bring back up my notes here. All right, so essentially, when our partner brings up a complaint or a criticism, our response is to defend ourselves, like we said before, right? And again, we call it the innocent victim, right? In a way, you know, we're saying, look, it's not me that's the problem, it's actually you. You know, why are you constantly picking on me? Why can't you focus on all the good things that I do? Why is it that there's no pleasing? Right? And in essence, when you feel attacked, or when you get attacked, your next response is to become defensive, thinking that that's going to help calm the problem down. But in reality, oftentimes it makes the problem worse because we don't really validate or show empathy to what our partner was saying anyway. Any times when you all thought that trying to defend yourself will help the situation, but it actually made it worse? Who wants to go?
I know that oftentimes, like, in my mind, I don't think of it as defending myself. I think of it as like me trying to explain why I handled things the way I did, or why I said what I said. And my intent sometimes isn't to be defensive, it's just to, like, I don't know, help Drew like understand what my train of thought was, or that like my intentions weren't malicious. But I guess that is defending myself.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I mean, defending myself, but my reasoning is usually because it's like, I need to remind her of like these things that I've done that prove that this is not the case. Like, remember when I did blah, 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 blah. Like, clearly what you're saying is not true. So, and it doesn't ever help, even if I think I'm right.
The innocent victim. Anyone else?
He's here agreeing. He's like, yeah, I felt that. But yeah,
like when you see the changes, like certain things you like, all right, like say if you had an argument or a disagreement or talk, and then things come back up, like, yo, but you seen this, that, and the third happening. We progressed from that, but
We'll go back to that.
yeah, but it usually stems from me bringing up something that I see about you. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to get defensive, the best way to do it
Is to attack you.
Yeah.
Like you always leave the cabinets open.
Right.
It could have nothing to do with what he brought up.
At all. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Johnson? Maybe a little bit busy. Pauline, Siao, Jen, any thoughts on, have you all experienced that? How defensiveness kind of like, you think it's going to be good, but it actually turns out to be bad?
I think so, because I used to always has like this communication partner with my ex-boyfriend. We always like argue, and sometimes I point something out, and he will say, no, I don't think so, or like he has a lot of defensiveness, and so I think it's difficult for us to like have an open conversation, and he thinks sometimes it's a good way to avoid conflicts, but I think it may like made our like relationship worse. So I don't think it's a good way for communication and for our like the relationship improvement. Yeah.
Yeah, Pauline, anyone else?
Yeah, like I haven't been in a relationship before, but with my like bad friends or any families, like it's so easy to get defensive if we're accused of something, and every time when we actually being defensive, like all the things we actually say are seems like excuses, and actually like those excuses like interpreted by others are actually really, like Frank you said, like just make the whole conversation become worse and like just inflated. And yeah, so that's why like I feel definitely like it's creates problems, like defensiveness in like creative problems in relationship.
Okay. So what do we do? What do we do? How do we address becoming defensive?
Well, what usually works for me is to just shut up and take an L.
What does that look like, shutting up and taking it out?
I just think about how like it doesn't really matter that much to me. So like I'm fine with conceding and saying like, let's move on. I'm wrong. Okay. I'll work on it. What?
I was just going to say that, like, I think that sometimes shutting up and empathizing is like a good response, but when it's disingenuous, then it's like, you should have just defended yourself.
So the problem is, it creates a loop, right? You want to defend yourself, you want to try to explain yourself, but the more you explain, the more your partner then criticizes you even more. The more negativity comes. And then as I said before, what happens, what occurs when that negativity comes is eventually your partner starts to disengage. You start to disengage because you're trying to avoid the argument. You're trying to, you know, maybe it's a Friday and you're like, man, if I say this, we're going to be fighting all weekend. I just wanted to relax, watch a couple of things, man. I can't go. I can't take another more fighting. So now we're starting to disengage. Right? Has anybody had that happen to you? I mean, Drew, you were talking about it. Talk us about that disengagement when you know what? The criticism, the fighting becomes too much.
Yeah. I've been there quite a bit. Yeah. It's like, I mean, to be honest, I kind of feel like that a little bit now, like from that low situation, because like, I think there are some things that, like was mentioned earlier, like, let's just agree to disagree. Like, I don't see it how you see it, but I understand in this situation, you feel more strongly about it than I do. And like, it bothers you. I care about your feelings. I just don't see it the way you do. But I think it puts me in a weird place where like I'm a very honest person. So like, I can't just be up in your face now and like, you know, keep acting like nothing happened because like, I feel it. But yeah, it's a tough situation because like, I don't want the conflict to continue, but like, I don't have that high positive energy right now to like, yeah.
When you
About the
said-
Johnsons. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Deanna.
I was gonna ask Drew, when you say the agree to disagree part, like on the content of what we were discussing, or like agree to disagree on how I felt?
No, I mean, how you felt is how you felt. Like, that's real. And I can't take anything away from that. Like, the content of what was discussed. Like, I think, yeah, I just disagree. Like, I explained to you, like, I was trying to be gentle. Like, I asked you ahead of time, like, are you sure you want to talk about this? Because, like, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think I was, like, crushing you. I mean, I understand that that's how you felt. So, like, I can't take anything away from that. But, like, I just don't know what I could have done better in that situation. So, like, yeah.
The Johnsons, how are you guys? Anything? Any thoughts on the conversation?
You know, when you're talking about agree to disagree or just not saying anything when you disagree with something to avoid an argument, it always comes to head sooner or later.
Comes back around.
Yeah, it comes back around, and the argument is just delayed. You know, it's inevitable to come back because you're just holding it in for a later time instead of just getting it out there and talking about it. And you don't have to agree with what the person says, but you know, it's a problem sometimes not wanting to listen to what they're saying or hear it. Not even, you know, it's not about agreeing to. You don't, you know, not even receptive to listening to it. And that, you know, like I was saying, can create a big battle. You don't even want to hear what they have to say, much less, you know, just hear it and even if you don't agree with it. let allowing them to have their own thoughts, and you say, well, I understand if that's the way you feel about it. I say it differently, but let's move on.
I don't like to call it an argument. I like to, try to use other words, because then it seems like, you're battling one another is something negative. To call it a discussion. And try not to be too judgmental. I want to hear your side of things and not to dissect every little thing. But not just to be dismissive at all with a particular situation or something that's going on, something that you need to discuss. Not just say, oh, okay, that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Don't just walk away. That's very dismissive to me. I want to hear it. I want to understand. I want to gain some feeling. What are you going through? And I want to show, have empathy for whatever it is. But at the same time, I need that as well. And I don't want, for every little thing to be just paused and put on the back burner and just wait. And even with us, like for our jobs, it can be very stressful. And sometimes we may not have a lot of time in between to talk to one another about things. We have to wait until we get home or wait for the weekend. And by then it just built up. And sometimes just do you even discuss it, and do you put it off to the side and just wait until there's more time to do that? And then again, the weekend is coming, you want to have a good time and you don't want to have to bring that up then, but it's when is the time to do it, and not to think of it negatively? Because I'll get from him that, oh, I thought we were having a good time. We were, and we are having a good time. Just because I'm saying these things, don't think of it negatively. It needs to come out. I don't want to keep putting it on the background. Me and my memory, I don't know if anybody else, my memory, I'm losing things sometimes, and then I'm finally thinking about it. And he was like, but that happened, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but I just recalled it because so many things are going on or whatever. So that's one thing. Not to say that just because we're talking about this is a bad moment. Let's discuss it and, move on from there.
DeAndre.
So, I think we agree to disagree. Not too well. Yeah, we don't agree on things. I know that much, but all in all, I think it comes to a line of respect. So if I don't really, I think he said something earlier about just shutting up or whatever. If I do want to get defensive about something, and then I just think about it and just hear her out and just shut up, just swallow that pill and try to get some understanding about what she's saying, that helps me a lot. Because sometimes I don't get it. But the whole time, if I just shut my mind up and just listen to her, then I understand where she's coming from. I respect where she's coming from, and we can move on that way. But if I don't do that, then it's going to be an issue. We're going to keep coming back. So I learned to just shut up, swallow the pill, just try to get some understanding, just like vice versa. She'd try to get some understanding where I come from. Cause we see a few things differently, and we will never, I don't think, just be on key with them things. But it's just as long as we have a respect for each other in them circumstances or whatever situation it is, we can move on past it.
So let's talk about flooding. The reason why stonewalling occurs or people want to back away.
You right. You got it. You right. It just it builds up. Like it's just like I'm brushing it away so you can say what you guys say, so I can just go about my day, or that may be. But that don't work because we done been together for all this time. So it's like it's going to revert back. It's going to keep coming back unless I just sit there and just be like, let me try to get some understanding and try to just respect it. Because if I don't, I'm just going to keep defending and deflecting. Like just keep saying, you right, you got it. I get where you're coming from, but I'm not really listening. You know what I'm saying? So when I started listening and going back, I was like, okay, now I see what she's saying. I don't really get it, but I respect it, and I'm just going. We can move on from there. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just it. You know. But yes, I'm saying. Yeah. I think it relies on a lot of times it deals with respect, because I don't like to argue. Neither one of us like to argue, but both of us love to be respected. So it's just like, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So.
Any comments? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think there's a difference between shutting up because you want the other person to shut up versus shutting up because you want to listen and hear and like try to understand what they're saying.
So we're gonna focus on the hard part, right? Everyone knows the easy parts. The hard part is when the group session is over, right? When we go back to our patterns of communicating, when we are going through a rough patch, right? Let's say you do want to stonewall, right? Let's say I want to talk about flooding. Flooding occurs when there's so much criticism, or there's so much fear, and there's so much negative anticipation that in your mind, you reason, and men do this a lot. Studies show that men, 85% of the time, are the ones that are stonewalling. Stonewalling meaning, I'm gonna run away from I'm gonna let this thing cool. I'm gonna not, I'm gonna just, we'll revisit this later. Right? It's because of the fact that by their nature, this is what the research shows. Let me know if you agree. They're saying that by their nature, men, they have, their typical fight and flight, when they are highly stimulated, when things in their environment stimulate them, and it causes them to, have some type of emotion, it lingers with them and lasts with them longer, right? You can see this by, let's say, when a woman has kids, and let's say the woman is nursing or breastfeeding. She will know that my ability to lactate, to produce milk, if I'm overstressed, it's going to affect my ability to produce milk. There's other barriers too, but let me calm down quickly so it's not going to impact my ability to take care of my child. Right? You can see how when women, their ability to multitask on varied things at the household, right? I mean, they could be cooking, doing laundry, talking to their cousin. I mean, so much stimulation all going on. But with men, usually it's kind of like they're taking things step by step by step. And what the research is saying is that men typically, the reason why they're big stonewallers is because that's how, from a long time ago, from caveman days, biologically, I don't know if you agree with it. I'm just telling you what your research says. It's a question. Do you all think that the gender roles and previous genetics far ago can impact one's ability to stonewall or not stonewall? Thoughts?
In some ways, yes. Like predisposition, I guess, but is it used as a defense mechanism? I don't want to discuss XYZ. I'm the man. I'm not going to give you an answer. What I say goes. I'm in control. And I don't know if I should say we take it a step further in to say, because of our culture, our upbringing, is it something that is passed down? Is something that, how they were raised, what they saw from their dad or stepfather or whatever, or they didn't have it at all. So this is what I'm going to do. And it just makes it very difficult. It's like you're closed mind, you're closed off. And yeah, so in some ways, yes, I say I agree with that, but then I say we need to take it a step further with that.
Mm-hmm. Other thoughts?
What do you think?
I'm agreeing about what you said.
Or it can even be women, right? The flooding of negativity can cause people to want to avoid negativity if that's your personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, if you have a personality of, let's say, considering yourself as a good person or somebody that generally means well, and your partner is criticizing you, or your partner's not really understanding where you're coming from. If you generally mean well, something's not going to sit right with you. How dare they think of me that way? Man, you thought you really think of me that way? Is that how you feel about me? I gotta get even. No. I gotta get you back. I can't let this go. I can't let you get away with this. So now what's gonna happen? Now we're gonna repeat the cycle. I'm going to become more defensive. I'm going to become more argumentative. Now it's going to lead to the criticism. Now it's going to lead to more negativity, the contempt. And because of that cycle, that now that cycle's is ingrained in my head.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the stonewalling comes in, because they're like, ooh, I've seen this movie play out too many times. So sometimes you might be quiet, you want to say something, but at the end you say, well, my best way is just to retreat, because either way I'm done. There's no winning. Thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I say exactly. And with us, I can be very negative. My thoughts can be, and I'm like, you know, what's going on? And he can be very positive, and he'll say, well, see this, see that. Well, I just don't see it. I'll just put up that front right then and there. And then I'm like, I'll step back and say, well, what is it that I can do differently for myself, not just for him, but for myself, to be more positive in the words and all. So I read books and listen to things or whatever and stuff. A lot of time away from work has helped. Just the stress from outside, but then coming back together and wanting to discuss things, and then that you can see it coming around. And if I say, well, hey, this is a sign, I know XYZ is going to happen. And he'll say, well, I hate when he says this. You must be thinking of someone else. And I'm like, well, who else am I thinking of? This is you and I. I've seen this before. I know that this is what's going to happen next. And I'll say, I'm not doing this. I said, you know, we need to think about this before we get into, if it's going to become, like he says, an argument. And so, yeah. And then that he'll do it or I'll do it, put up that wall, because we don't want to have to deal with it.
Any other thoughts?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
My question is, or it was more probably a statement, is the stonewalling occurs when sometimes your partner sees a pattern of negativity. The pattern negativity is, we're going to start talking about something. Things are going to go sour. Or let's say my partner says something that really doesn't sit right with me. Now I gotta correct her or him. I didn't like what you said. Why'd you say that about me? I'm not gonna let this go. Let's talk about this right now. You're wrong. I disagree with it. It starts a cycle of now they're going to become defensive. More words are going to be said, typically negative words. More things are going to be said. And then what I said was, eventually the stonewalling occurs when one partner, and what the study has shown, John Gottman, right? He did a study. 85% of the stonewallers are men, and he said one of the reasons being is because of the cycle of negativity. They figured, you know what? It's so much negativity. If I continue to go into it with that cycle of, let me try to defend myself. We're gonna get more words. We're gonna get more arguments. This and this and this. Every time. Here's that word, every, my partner is bringing up a issue, I can't win. Me winning is me shutting up. Thoughts?
Yeah, that sounds very on point with like how I generally feel about like conflict. It seems like a common thing in our like arguments or disagreements is it gets brought up that I'm not listening. And I feel like it's like some magical word or like some magical thing for me to like listen. Like, what will it take for me to be listening in a way that resonates with her? And I think like, because of that, I don't want to talk about things most of the time, because I feel like even if it's something that I've brought up that like is a concern of mine, it's like somehow along the way, I'm going to become the bad guy in the situation and I'm going to not be listening. So I think I can see a lot of like stonewall patterns of my own from like listening to what you've been saying, and just a lot of difficulty I've been having in terms of like resolving conflict.
Anyone else?
I'm wondering when and supposedly such loving and kindred relationships, the words argue, conflict, battle, disagree, all take precedence. It's never conversate, talk, and everything is like a competition. Each of us want to get our point across and will the other person to believe and agree with it, instead of just taking a deep breath before you speak and say, this is the point I want to get across. How can I articulate it in a non offensive way, I guess you say? How can I tell this person that I'm supposed to love and care for how I'm feeling, and not come across as being like a bully, or like saying I'm dominant, my opinion matters more than yours, so be quiet and listen. And at the same time, both of you be able to speak to one another and the other one listen. And even if you don't disagree, hear them out and try to understand what they're saying. Not just, as my wife said, just keep dismissing each other's thoughts and feelings.
I think it got a lot to do with like the presentation. Like, yeah, like, I mean, it took years for me to try to present to Shannon just if what was on my mind, I guess, what was bothering me or something like that, and because I don't want her to feel threatened or feel like I'm attacking her or something like that. Because a lot of times over the years, it come off as an attack. So I had to learn how to like present it, whatever it is. So, and on the flip side, just to have the understanding in my mind, like, okay, she's trying to present something to me instead of just like jumping on the fence at soon as she's talking. As soon as she started talking, I feel like it's not even word. What's the point of us talking about it, or it ain't that big of a deal. I lose respect with what she's trying to present to me, I guess. And it takes a lot of patience, I guess. All in all, it's the patience and the presentation, like, cause I look at it like, okay, she's my lady, so she's not trying to be. She's not trying. I gotta put in my head. She's not trying to hurt me. She's trying to present something, and be helpful. So I try to put those in my head and just shut up. Just in the same realm, I try to present it in a way where it's coming off lighthearted. I mean, not even lighthearted. Coming off more soft and kind of just more nurturing.
I guess.
Nurturing, I guess. I don't know. Just so she can listen. Just basically so she can understand where I'm coming from. Because if I just start off a conversation with just like, look, check this out, like something like that, it's gonna be a problem. I already know that.
Check this out.
Shit, check this out. Or look, this what happened the other day. I ain't understand. Something like that. Anything that come off a little too rough or anything like that, I know it's gonna be an issue. So I try to present it in the kindest way nowadays. Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I think something that is difficult for me is like, even when I do my best to address my issues in a way where like I'm intentional about the presentation, because I have a history of coming off as attacking or a history of being negative, even if I try to like wrap it in the best bow, it's still perceived as attacking. And that's difficult. I feel like in any relationship, when you do your best to address an issue and you try to say it in a way that's sensitive, but the other person can't receive it.
We got 5 minutes here. Let's try to address that. How do I communicate with my partner when I'm trying to be nice and loving and respectful, but all they hear is rah, 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 right? Accusations. Yeah. We talked about this. What are the steps of communication? First, summarize what you heard your partner say. Go back to basics. Keep it simple. Remind your partner, hey, we're working on this. Remember, do a complaint. We're working on this situation, and I've been really, really trying my best to be nice, but I feel like my best isn't good enough, right? On the other side of it, your partner can say, oh, tell me more about that. Okay, so I'm hearing, you're not good enough. How's that making you feel? Like, how am I making you feel? Tell me more about that. You validate their feelings instead of becoming defensive. Validate, show empathy. Oh, you know what? You're saying that I haven't been acknowledging the progress that you've been making. I can see how that'd be hurtful, because if I'm working on something and my partner, continually goes back that negative way and continually, brings back the past and all these things and not recognize, you know what? There's some things I may have to be working. There's some things I have to do. There's some steps I have to work on. Babe, what is it that I can do? How can we move the situation forward? Thoughts?
I think the words used, empathy, goes a long way. I mean, a lot of times we lose sight of those type of things. Showing empathy, putting yourself in their place, and just not worrying about you and winning and being right, and hearing them out, and just taking a deep breath in a second, pause and think, how do they, what role am I playing in what they're saying, how they're feeling, how, what's going on with them that's not right? What role am I playing? Or even not that, just how can I help them? Because again, we're friends, we're not enemies. Instead of always perceiving us, like you said, going on the defensive and attacking each other, and they're wrong and I'm right. Because my wife used that word empathy a lot, and and it is a strong thing. Trying to be empathetic towards your loved one and hearing them out, and trying to be helpful in a situation instead of just saying, no, I'm right.
One of the biggest ones I like what he said is validation. To even to the small things, and to not to shut off the communication, not be afraid to have that difficult conversation. I'm hopefully like through this, that's some of the things that we learn is those hard things, and not to stonewall one another when it comes to those difficult times, and to really to listen. And again, you said summarize. So these are the things, but and go down there and not feel that you're being attacked. I call it constructive criticism. What can I gain from what you're telling me? And not just say, I'm this, I'm that. Okay. Set it to the side and say, okay, this is, what he said, and what can I do to work on those things? And not take it personal. Not take it personal. That's one of the biggest things. Not take it personal.
Any final thoughts? All right. Again, we'll pick this up sometime in the fall. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. I've learned a lot. Hopefully you all have too. And you all will receive the link to the recording, and you can look at our previous. Unfortunately, when we first started the series, we didn't get the consents right, so we couldn't record a lot of them. But we're hoping to do more education, more, really trying to help couples. We are the Latte Wellness Group. It definitely was a pleasure. Hope to see you all in the future. Thank you all.
Thank you.
God bless. All right. Take care.
Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all.